obviously they have been in the news frequently, and a lot of people are worried and think it is a particular big risk to source out of China, and it obviously is a risk because it occurred. But we think it is not just a particular China risk. It's a risk of how you manage your supply selection, how you make sure that you can trace your products. If you're in the food business, that's absolutely critical. And have a robust quality and auditing process. So our view is, yes, global sourcing as such is risky. So if you source from other parts of the world, you have to be aware. And I guess in that, we recommend to companies to be very clear about the risks of going global. But the upside is enormous if you do it right. Now, on another topic, we also believe sustainability is an opportunity, and it's the only way to incentivize people to change, and that is to make it clear to companies that in the long run, the value that they can bring and the perceived value and the differentiation coming from sustainable product development is actually translating probably into higher margins if the customers perceive it. So we do get more and more requests on a global basis to determine the cost of sustainability, and that includes ethical supply chains as well as green supply chains, but also to look at the opportunity and say, how can we differentiate in our industry? And it is a very strategic questions. In the food industry, for example, sustainable farming or fishing is a big issue, and people need to start to think about alternative ways of securing supply. And in fact, it's very often a make or buy. We see it in the brewing industry, where some of the grains are very volatile and demand is high. And so some of the brewers now start to go back to growing and farming rather than just buying grains such as barley. And that is, I think, a good indication how strategic this whole topic is. Within PwC, we've taken this topic very serious, not just for ourselves, but also on behalf of our clients, and across all service lines, and that is audit and tax as well as advisory. We have this written into our agenda, and we're developing innovative thoughts across the service lines, how to help companies not just to monitor and audit, but actually build it into their business planning going forward. So we're actually quite excited about the opportunities that come with it. It's a good point. It really depends on what it is that you're trying to buy. Now, we do recommend to clients that they should a total cost analysis and break down in all kinds of details, not just the labor cost, because that's why people typically come to China today. And despite maybe a lower productivity, you still can save significant on labor costs. But once you add customs duty and also logistics on top, the additional working capital you have in your supply chain, you start to see that margins can become very small. And a sharp increase in certain raw materials, for example, or rising labor costs in the east side of China, close to the coast, will force people to rethink where they produce, where they buy from. And so cost management is a very important topic, and we actually recommend to clients to think more long term about more complex and value-added products, where then the total cost advantage is significantly higher, and they also take advantage from more accessible product development and producing products for the consumer market at the right price. That is a hot topic, and we do feel it for ourselves. There's certainly a war for talent. In general, there's some excellent people in the market, but the people know it. The people that are native Chinese speaker, have Western education, have come back, have very high expectations, and they're not easy to to track and to retain, which is the other issue. In general, I think there's some absolute top-notch people at the very top. And the labor side is quite skilled. We're positively impressed by that. I think on the middle management side, there is still a significant gap to bridge the strategy gap and the performance gap. When I say that they know they're good, is those people that have the right skill set, which is quite unique. I mean, it's clearly the law of supply and demand. We don't find it difficult to train. I think it's more a matter of understanding the culture. You have to understand when you come here. You can't just use the same ways of motivating people that you have used in the past in the West. And there's still a lot of expatriates here that running the significant business. And it might create the perception of a glass ceiling for particular middle management. And it is quite important to invest. And we found that those people are very responsive and see it as a long-term win if a good relationship is built on the basis of people development. So it's probably one of the success factors for a company to offer this to the employees to really have an advantage longer term. I find it extremely rewarding, and I just came back from a very similar event that we did in India, and the problems or the opportunities in both countries are extremely high but very different. What impresses me all the time when I come back to places such as Shanghai is the dynamic, the speed at which things are moving, and the ability to really think long term and implement long term. And I think that's a huge advantage China has. So it's totally clear it's going to be a dominating force in the world. And I think it strikes me each time I come here. So it's a very rewarding place to work.